Welcome to the Tucson NetworKings podcast. I'm your host, Gordy Seward, along with master networker and sales guru, Don Zavis. Together, we talk about how to get the most of your business networking in Southern Arizona. We'll discuss tips, tricks, what to do, what not to do, with some amazing people that know how to build lasting business relationships from this thing called business networking. So strap in and enjoy the show.
Welcome, everyone, to the very first episode of the Tucson NetworKings podcast. How about that bumper music?
You know what?
Rock and roll.
I absolutely love it. Needless to say, I'm a product of rock and roll in the 80s. So
there you go.
Thank you so much.
My name is Gordy Seward. This is Don Zavis. I personally have been networking here in Tucson for at least 12 years. And I've got some thoughts on networking. Don is a networking master as well. We'll hear his thoughts on networking. This is going to be an outstanding podcast, one of the funnest podcasts you'll ever hear. We're going to have some great topics and some great stuff happening. Don,
thank you.
Why don't you tell me how long you've been doing networking?
I was going to say, master is a strong word. I don't know if I'd use master, but I've actually been here in Tucson since 2015. Actually, networking since 1980.
Okay.
I developed my first networking group in 1980 at the Fairlane Club in Dearborn, Michigan.
All right.
And so I've been doing it a long time. And, you know, I don't want to sound overly dramatic, but if you only watch or listen to one podcast and you're in business, this is the one that you're going to want to watch and listen to.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're going to have some tips, tricks, what to do, what not to do, all about networking in Tucson. As we know, Tucson, we're a little bit different market. We're not as, what's the word? We're a little different from that town 120 miles up the road. So
we're it's
more of a community based.
Yeah, I was going to say that it's much more of a community. The business climate. For example, me being in a suit, I'm the aardvark in the room. It's certainly in the Tucson area, so it's much more laid back. I came from a large city that had very structured etiquette when it came to business and such. Tucson's not like that, but interestingly enough, people are just people. Regardless of where you go on the earth, people are just people. If you can find a way to connect with them, you'll have a wonderful opportunity to do business with them.
Yes, and business networking in general is a phenomenal way. If you are a business owner, it's a great way to get out and meet the community. And I'm gonna swing it over to this guy. What is the line that first time I heard it? This explains business networking.
Well.
If we could have a theme for this episode, this is what it is right here.
Well, it actually came out of someone who had said, I've gone to networking events before. I didn't get anything out of it. Of course, they didn't put nothing into it, so not surprisingly. But I always believed in efficiencies. And I always believed that in my world as a professional sales trainer, sales coach, international keynote speaker, that every sale that I made was always face-to-face. Mm-hmm. And the idea was the faster I can get face-to-face, the greater the likelihood that I'm going to have a successful selling situation. Yep. So when I looked at networking and the line, just for clarity, that networking starts where every other form of marketing hopes to end up, which is ultimately face-to-face.
Right.
So if you put an ad in the paper, you hope that somebody, and there's nothing wrong with ads in the paper, you put an ad in the paper and you hope somebody calls or sends you an email or a text or something, and then you maybe interact emails or text or phone or something like that. But then again, you ultimately need to be face-to-face in most cases to make the sale. And I realized just from the pure efficiencies, again, networking starts where every other form of marketing hopes to end up, which is face-to-face.
Absolutely.
And to me, that's been such a critical element.
And this podcast series that you are now a part of is we're going to cover all different types of things. We're going to cover whether you're going to network in associations, whether you're going to network in organizations, BNIs, free networking group, chamber events. We're gonna cover the whole gamut. How to get people to a networking event, how to host a networking event. These are all phenomenal things that we're going to talk about to run a successful networking event, to get the most out of a networking event here in Tucson, Arizona.
Sure. It is by far, in my opinion, the absolute best utilization of your time. You have an opportunity to be in front of 30, 40, 50, 60, 100 people, depending on the event. Now, by the way, I should also mention right off the get-go, the larger of the event doesn't necessarily mean the better.
Right.
What I have found, and this will be tip one coming right out of the gate, What you want and your goal is to have three, in my opinion, again, to have three meaningful interactions for it to be a good utilization of your time. So what that means is that you've talked to someone, you see some synergies where you might be able to work together. You've not only exchanged contact information, business cards, something like that, but you have a very, very clear next step. Let's get together tomorrow for lunch at Denny's. I'm going to blobbity, blobbity, blobbity. You're going to blobbity, blobbity, blobbity. And we come out of the gate with something, again, meaningful.
Right.
I think the mistake a lot of people make, and I don't know if we want to jump right into the tips, is that, they'll meet somebody at a networking event and they say, well, let's get together for coffee. Mm-hmm. And then you get together for coffee and maybe you've got some synergies and you exchange business cards, and that business cards goes in that big wad of business cards with the rubber band baseball sized in your drawer. And even though you came out of the gate strong, nothing ever happened.
Yeah.
And to me, that is such a tragedy, because in every environment, you've got 200 people that are circling your universe. So whether, the person you're talking to may or may not be a prospect for you, but if you engage them properly, almost guaranteed somebody in their world is. That they can pick up the phone, hey, I met Gordy. This guy's fabulous. You really need to talk to him. He knows more about online security than I've, he's forgotten more than I've ever known.
Yeah. Yeah. So, it's all about connecting with people. I had a former podcast about networking in Tucson. We're moving on from that going forward. If you'd like to go back and hear any episodes, it's Tucson's Stars of Networking. But we've got some great things coming up. This is going to be the new and improved version of that. We've got some phenomenal guests coming up. So right now we're going to take a quick break and pay some bills and leave room for a sponsor here, and we'll be right back.
Thank you.
The Tucson Network Kings podcast is brought to you by Sarah Souders, your local Tucson native real estate advisor with Russ Lyon Sotheby's International Realty, where luxury is an experience, not just a price point. Feel welcome to contact Sarah today at 520-305-6974. Arizona license SA 708-354-000.
Yeah, so thank you. We're back from our break. Thank you to our wonderful sponsors. We really appreciate their commitment and contribution to making this show happen. If you'd like to be one, we'd love to have you as well. As we continue on the conversation, when we talk about networking, and there's no lack, literally anywhere you go in the world now, and I have the benefit of training internationally. Any place you go in the world, the concept of networking is really kind of been embraced. I think that, everyone realizes that we're social creatures. You look at what happened during COVID when we lost that ability for socialization and how detrimental that was. So when it came back strong. Mm-hmm. And one of the things I love to start with whenever I have a networking conversation, so for those that are taking notes, another perfect opportunity to take a note. If you can't find what you want, make it. Yes. And I'm amazed, and there are so many ways, chambers and Kiwanis and Elks Club and Rotaries and private clubs and business groups. And I mean, there's a myriad of the ones that are out there.
Zoom groups.
Groups. There are so many out there and available to you. Interestingly enough, though, one of the things I do hear frequently is, it's not blah, blah, blah. It's not for me. It's not for my industry. There's too many people in my industry, whatever it is. And I always would say to people, if you can't find what you want, make it.
Yep.
For every person that maybe vocalizes they can't find, there's 10 other people that would love that idea. So if you can't find what you want, make it. And it's really not as challenging as it seems. Find a venue. There's many venues that you can get for little or no cost.
Where can you go to find out if there's a networking event happening?
Well, I think that's a wonderful question. So actually, if you're in Tucson, if you go to TucsonNetworking.com.
No, Networking Tucson.
NetworkingTucson.com. I apologize. NetworkingTucson.com. It's Gordy's wonderful website. If you get a chance,
my new baby.
Absolutely take a look at it. And I think that is not only an incredible resource, but I think you're going to find it replicated in many of the cities in the area because, again, that is one of the things that most people struggle with. Well, where do I go? How do I find out, right? They may see something on a social media post, but how would you like to go to some place and see 20 or 30? And in most cases, and if you're in professional sales and you kind of subscribe to the methodology I do, which is 50% of your time should be prospecting, you would want to invest maybe 1 or 2 days a week to going to these. That doesn't mean you go to 6 in one day. Again, you want to go to a manageable amount. But since it's such a wonderful resource and you have the opportunity to connect with people, again, that is a wonderful, wonderful tool.
Well, it goes back to your making something. If there's a need for it, create it. And that was the story behind that. Is I was sitting waiting for a local live stream that was happening at a coffee shop, and the guest was on there with the host, and she said, "Oh my goodness, there's so many networking events happening. It's hard to keep them all straight." So right then and there, I thought, wheels started turning. I went to GoDaddy. I said, that's available. Bought the website. About 5 months later, I was able to work with the developer, and we've got it up and running. So if you need to know where to go, check out networkingtucson.com. I don't make any money off of it. It's all completely, I have to input every single event. If there is an event that you would like added to that, you can always email networkingtucson@gmail.com. Also, if there is a business networking topic that you would like covered in this podcast,
absolutely, you
can email networkingkings@gmail.com. You can email there, and we'll take those calls or we'll take those topics, and we'll toss them around and see if we can find specialists in that area.
Absolutely.
We've got some great, here in the next couple episodes, we've got some great topics. One of them is husband and wife networking teams.
Yes.
How does that work? You've got a husband and wife coming in and doing networking together. Could be the same business.
Work in the room.
Could be different businesses. How do you work the room? What's the magic behind that? So that's some exciting stuff coming up. One of the other episodes we have coming up is networking without networking.
Yes.
That sounds like a good one, doesn't it?
Well, it's interesting because I have had people approach me and say, well, I'm introverted. I'm not good at meeting people. Yes. I'm not good at talking to people. And if you've got the right networking environment, so you've got some that are very social, grab a beer, wander around. You have other ones that create interactions and synergies. One of the ones that Gordy and I do, we actually have table conversations. So during the networking event, we'll have a particular business topic that would be benefit from a further exploration. And you're going to have 6, 7 people, 8 people at a table that maybe weren't very communicative in the beginning. And now because they're working through this problem so they can do and it's only like 5 minutes, they'll kind of do a presentation of their suggestion to the rest of the room. What we find is the dynamic very much changes. Now these people that were only marginally interacting, now when they get done, you can see the change take place. The business cards come out and, okay, I'll call you tomorrow, or you call me, or okay, we're on for Thursday for lunch, and you watch this kind of a wallflower, that introvert person now, they've got this big wad of business cards. They've got all these brochures. They've got their goodie bag. They're shaking all these hands as they go out. And then they'll come back to me and they have this look in their eye like they saw fire for the first time. Like, oh my God, this is the best thing that I've ever seen. Because to someone who hasn't really had that experience, this is the best thing they've ever seen.
Yeah.
So no, most assuredly, there are so many topics. If you have one, share it with us, because networking, again, because you're talking about people, have as many interactions as you could possibly imagine. Yeah. But it does take a commitment.
Yes.
And
don't expect a one and done. I talk to people all the time. Well, I went to a couple of the chamber events and I didn't get any business out of it, so I'm not going anymore.
Well, one of the things that we'll talk about in the future is co-production opportunities. And one of the things that I always say is that when you meet with someone that you think you've got a synergy with, figure out something to do together. Maybe a conference call. Maybe you do some kind of shared promotion, marketing, cooperative event. But the idea is that there's got to be something that brings you together. And if you invest the time and you're creative enough, and we can certainly help you do that. That's one of the things that you're going to hear from this podcast. So, this is really going to be the podcast for the person who maybe doesn't like to network, or doesn't feel that they're good at it, or doesn't feel like it's a good investment of their time. But I will tell you that it is absolutely critical. Again, that face-to-face interaction is wonderful.
Absolutely. Yep.
So again, as you're thinking about this, it isn't just for people that are very social, good gift to gab, none of that thing. It is really for every person who's looking for any interaction. And by the way, it's not just business. You look at a lot of the social networking for, most cities have kind of a newcomers group. So if people that are new to the city would be able to go to an event, almost every church has a singles organization or a grief organization or a parents group or something that gives people, we are social creatures. We truly thrive in an environment of socialization. And when you're deprived of that, especially if you work out of your house and you're kind of a solopreneur, you really will struggle on the other side of that.
And I'm going to give you a sneak peek on something that
I like sneak peeks.
So, again, I mentioned I had a former podcast about networking, and the theme that was consistently came up over and over again. We had 18 episodes, and I would say 50. If we're 50 episodes down the road, this is going to be awesome. But I can tell you that the consistent theme is if you can help connect someone first.
Oh, absolutely.
All the connections are going to be coming back to you.
Yes.
So if you're going into a networking event with that mindset, is help someone connect. If you've got a neighbor that's looking to find a realtor selling their house, you make that connection, and all that stuff. I don't want to call it karma. I don't believe in karma, but all that good mojo is going to come back to you one way or another. And
it is karma.
If you don't look at don't go in. I got to sell. I got to sell.
Oh,
I got to sell. No, you're there to make connections with people, build relationships first. I'm involved in the Tucson Rotary here,
right? And
they when you walk into the Tucson Rotary, you don't see a name tag saying Joe's Plumbing. My name's Joe. Every name tag there says just Joe.
Just Joe. Yeah. And
that's how you need to go about getting into networking. Find out, and we're going to have again episodes about how to conduct yourself at an event, how to make friends, how to make how to build relationships,
how to start conversations,
listen, make that relationship, and all those connections are going to come forward. So we're going to take one more quick break, and then we'll be right back.
The Tucson Network Kings podcast is brought to you by Sarah Souders, your local Tucson native real estate advisor with Russ Lyon Sotheby's International Realty, where luxury is an experience, not just a price point. Feel welcome to contact Sarah today at 520-305-6974. Arizona license SA 708-354-000.
So one of the things that you had mentioned, Gordy, about being connections, and I always say you go to a networking group never to sell. If you feel compelled to go as something, go to buy, right? Go to buy. Now, there's a great line that I always say. I say yes to everything. It doesn't mean that I buy everything. It just means I say yes to everything. So if you come up to me and you do car insurance, whereas most people would say, well, I already have car insurance. I don't. I say, really? Car insurance? Great. Give me your card. I'm going to have my declaration page on your desk tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock.
Okay.
Because at that point in time, first of all, any defensive posture they had is immediately dropped because now you're a customer and that's why they're there.
Sure.
And one of two things happen. When I send you my declaration page and you do your comparison for your company, one of two things is going to happen. Either A, I'm going to get a better deal, and it may not be a cheaper price. It might just be better coverage.
Right.
So I'm going to get a better deal. I win, right? Or B, you can't beat what I have, and I rest assured that I now have the best possible deal. I win again. Right. Now, that's very contrary to the concept of saying yes to everything. But when you go, you never go to sell. You want to go to make connections. Here's a very simple forced connection.
Is this what we were talking about earlier?
Well, I was going to do the two cards.
Yeah. Turn up your audio on this.
Yeah, you're going to want to get this, right? So pick up your pencil and paper. So I don't care how terrible a networker you are. The only way this doesn't work is if you don't do it, right? Whenever you ask for a business card, ask for two. And when they say why, or even if they don't say why, here's what you say. My goal is to keep one card for myself and take the other card and share it with somebody here at the event. Now, that sounds very magnanimous, but here's where it becomes back to Don, because the whole world eventually comes back to Don, right? So you ask them if they will do the same for you. So here's 2 business cards. One I want you to keep. Would you be comfortable, as I am doing to you, would you be comfortable giving the other one to someone else?
Awesome.
So the surest way to get leads is create the environment of commitment, not hope. Right? Hope is what you do when everything else fails.
Right.
So when I ask you for 2 business cards, one that I will keep and develop the relationship, but my goal is this one I give to someone else, preferably at the event. And now I can ask, will you do the same? So now not only have I gotten a potential connection with this person, but now they're committing to introduce me to someone else. So if I now do this to 10 people, not only have I gotten 10 connections directly, and now I have to give 10 corrections, which is much easier than people think. But now I've got somebody who's working for me as well. They're hoping to promote, and they're out there promoting me to the group as well. Now, does everybody do that? Of course not. But if even half do that, it's a good utilization of your time. And I'm very much into the time efficiency concept.
Yeah. I'm actually going to an event
Did you say
tonight.
genius? You can say that a lot. Was it
genius?
Genius?
Hopefully
Genius.
that little nugget right there alone is enough to get you to continue to listen to this podcast.
And the thing is,
it's going to be a good microcapsule of what is coming on this podcast.
Well, you're going to get, the goal will be, you're going to get stuff that you don't see anywhere else. I will assure you that I will go through broken glass on my stomach to give you stuff you do not hear everything. And that's why I said I wasn't being dramatic in the beginning. But I want to make sure this is a good utilization of your time. And again, professional networking is as much art as it is science. But there is a part that's science. You can create, prior to going. That's why preparation is so strong and so important. I go to networking events and I'll ask for a business card. And the person, I didn't bring any cards. And as a sales trainer, I'm like, oh my God, you're making my heart hurt because you're coming to this or you.
What's the 2 rules? Bring business cards and be memorable.
Absolutely. Well, and that really is true because you really want to have not only a mechanism for follow-up, and really the value of the business card is when you give theirs, that's when you give yours. That's not the value. The value is they give you theirs. Yeah. Never make that, they should never be responsible for the follow-up. When you give someone your card without that reciprocity of their card, you're now putting them responsible for the follow-up. Don't do that.
Yep.
Right. You're responsible for the follow-up.
That's great. I'm after this, I'm heading right to a networking event this
evening,
and I will be using that technique.
Well,
I'll let you know how it goes.
Yeah. Well, I will tell you that again, going back to the art and the science, there's a certain structural things that you do, right? Like, and I always like be memorable, right? And I think that we live in a world of mediocrity. And I'm not saying be crazy, but what I am saying is if you watch we'll go to
flashy name tag.
Flashy name tag. Which is fabulous, by the way, right? But I'll give you a great example. If you go into nature, and I tell people to go into nature, nature to me has the best structure that's out there. The birds that are the most flamboyant, that have the greatest plumage, that have the loudest call, the grizzly bears that have the lowest growl, that, all of these things that garner attention to themselves are the most successful in most species. So you look at the birds with the highest jump, the greatest color, the plumage, all of the animals in the animal kingdom, the ones that garner the most attention, historically are the ones that are the most successful. Yep. Now, again, we're not very different. And I watch people all the time. They go into a world and they're just invisible. Now, I'm not saying do anything crazy, but I believe everyone has special magic. Find out that special magic, right? Be memorable. If you can't create it yourself, reach out to Gordy and I. I will tell you in a few moments period of time, we can help you identify your special magic, and that will become your special sauce. People will remember you for that. I look at the Richard Simmons of the world, right? Back in the 80s, he was a health guru. He was a little afro-haired guy, right? A little skinny guy you wouldn't think would be athletic at all.
The infomercial guy.
Exactly.
But wait, there's more.
But wait, there's more. Yeah. Lady Gaga, who has an amazing voice, right? She's not Whitney Houston, but she has an amazing voice. But what was she known for early in her career? Her amazing voice? No. Her wild antics and her crazy clothing. Yeah. Now, again, I'm not saying you should do that, but what I am saying is that in today's world, because there is so much noise in the machine, you have to be memorable. Maybe a flashing name tag. Maybe it's long hair and suspenders. But you have to be memorable. We'll help you get there if you're interested in getting there.
Yep.
And this is why this podcast, and again, I'm not being dramatic, this will be the best investment of your time.
Absolutely. So we'll probably have a whole podcast dedicated to the 30-second elevator pitch and all that. So what we'd like to do now is just we kind of told you a little bit about Don, but Don, what do you do in your other professional career? And I'll tell you what I do.
Well, in my day job, so amongst other things, business I own, I'm primarily a sales trainer, sales coach, and keynote speaker. So the focuses of my practice is training where I would be in front of an individual or a group talking about a particular sales topic, delivering a message. Where we do coaching is a little more relaxed and interactive, sitting down face to face. When I do international keynote speaking, generally it's on a revenue development topic. So, my wheelhouse, my focus is make more money. So I don't do, visioning and, team building. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I know that my lane is very narrow. My number one goal is make your cash register ring. If you want your cash register to ring, improving your selling ability is the only thing that's going to make that happen.
Awesome.
Gordy, what do you do?
So I work for a little, I say little, but we're probably about a medium-sized IT company here in Tucson, Arizona, locally owned and operated. The owner went to the U of A, played for the U of A football team. He's been in business for 33 years. Greg Durnan, great guy. And if you've ever met him, you'll right away, within 10 seconds of meeting the guy, he's a great guy. So great employer. I sell managed service IT, information technology for him. So I do business development, which is a fancy name for sales guy.
Absolutely.
So I do that. So if anybody is interested in any kind of IT services, call me. It's a great company. So many of the big companies, or so many of the smaller companies, are getting bought up by these private equity companies that are coming in, buying dentist office, buying HVAC companies, buying veterinary clinics. Now they're buying IT companies. So we're local here, Tucson, born and bred. We are, from what we know of, we did some test calls. We are the only company that will answer our phones live 24/7. So that's something huge right there. Yeah,
that's something that's 100% controllable,
right?
And has such a high perceived value in the marketplace, and so many people overlook something so simple.
Yep.
And yet so meaningful to the consumer.
Yeah, even our whole process is simple and meaningful to the consumer. Whether, we don't, if you need a new computer system, we don't make you buy an bloated, overpriced computer. We will do our best to, heck, even if we have to find it on Amazon, we'll get you the best price, the best product, ship it to us, we'll get it set up, and then we'll bring it to your office. So little things like that are the difference maker with Acacia IT. Enough about me. Enough about you.
Yep.
We encourage everyone to come back and check out the next couple episodes. I think you'll be hooked. Yeah, I'm already hooked, and I'm the host.
And we're sitting in the chairs here. So thank you, everyone. We appreciate you joining us. You know what? Go out and meet someone today.
Stay connected, everybody.
You've just experienced the Tucson NetworKings podcast. Make sure to like, follow, and subscribe for more great tips about networking in Southern Arizona. If you'd like to leave a question, comment, or future topic, you can email them to TucsonNetworKings@gmail.com. Also, if you'd like to know more about all of the networking events happening in town, make sure and check out NetworkingTucson.com. That's NetworkingTucson.com. Know where to go.